Welcome to the Business English Podcast. I'd like to ask everyone listening a quick question. Have you ever felt shy or uncertain about speaking English at work? It's a common challenge, right?
Exactly. This topic matters because, in many workplaces, strong speaking skills can boost your confidence and reputation. I mean, it's not just about grammar, but also how you connect with people.
Absolutely. Today, we're focusing on how to learn English speaking easily, which is our main topic. You see, mastering spoken communication opens doors, especially in international business settings.
Totally. In this episode, we'll introduce the structure of our talk, share practical examples, and highlight best practices. Then we'll discuss why output is so essential, and we'll invite everyone to post opinions in the comments.
Precisely. This podcast will give you a clear roadmap on building confidence, using relevant vocabulary, and making conversations flow. That's a huge benefit if you want to grow professionally.
No doubt about it. We'll first dive into our main theme, then offer English lessons, and finally present practical tips. Actually, we hope everyone can learn together, so leave a comment and share your experiences.
Indeed. We encourage you to give a thumbs up and subscribe for more useful content. By the way, let's all boost each other's motivation and make consistent progress in English speaking.
Absolutely. Let's get started and explore how to learn English speaking easily while staying motivated and consistent.
All right, let's outline this part of our discussion. We plan to talk about setting clear goals, finding effective study methods, and practicing consistently. It's a step-by-step approach that many learners forget, especially when they're short on time.
Exactly. Setting specific objectives is critical. For instance, some people aim to lead meetings in English, while others want to negotiate with international clients. Basically, having a clear focus helps you track progress and stay motivated.
Precisely. Another point is finding effective study methods. You might choose online courses, practice with a language partner, or use apps that focus on speaking drills. No doubt about it. Picking the right tools makes a huge difference.
That's exactly how I see it. There's a trend right now where companies encourage employees to practice in casual chat groups. You see, it's not just about textbooks. In real situations, you learn how to respond naturally and adapt to unexpected topics.
Couldn't agree more. Consistency is the third big factor. Some people study hard for a week, then stop. Actually, it's more effective to practice a little every day, even for just 15 minutes, to build a lasting habit.
You nailed it. Many professionals I've met share a best practice. They schedule specific time slots for speaking practice. Like, they might speak with colleagues during coffee breaks, or chat briefly after meetings, just to keep the flow going.
Absolutely. Another trend is the rise of virtual communities. For example, online forums or clubs where people from different countries gather to discuss business news. That method can help you learn cultural nuances as well.
Indeed, companies often look for people who can collaborate globally. If you can share ideas smoothly and handle diverse perspectives, your value increases. Basically, it's not only about language, but also about building strong professional relationships.
Exactly. Let's also consider some real-world examples. One of my friends joined a weekly conference call with overseas colleagues. At first, they felt nervous. But after several sessions, their confidence grew and they started leading parts of the discussion.
No doubt about it. I've heard of a sales manager who practiced her pitch daily with a mentor. Eventually, she closed major deals abroad. She had this new level of comfort with tricky questions. That's exactly how consistent practice pays off.
Totally. When people realize the impact of daily practice, they see that speaking English easily is not a distant dream. Actually, it's attainable with a structured plan and regular interaction. You see, that's what this podcast aims to encourage.
Precisely. So in this segment, we've talked about setting clear goals, choosing effective methods, and staying consistent. We also touched on real examples from the business world. Actually, if you build these habits, you'll notice steady improvement in both fluency and confidence.
Indeed. Next, we'll move on to our English Lesson 1, where we'll discuss some key words and phrases from this conversation. It's important to understand and use them correctly to boost your speaking power.
All right, let's wrap up this section here. Then we'll dive into those vocabulary and idiom highlights. Indeed, it's time to apply practical insights and expand our range of expression.
Before we close this part, here's another tip. Record yourself speaking and then listen to the playback. By the way, it's a best practice to spot your own mistakes and track your progress.
No doubt about it, listening to yourself can feel awkward at first. However, it reveals patterns and shows you exactly where to improve. So if you use this method regularly, you'll refine your pronunciation and delivery.
You're spot on. Let's keep pushing these practical ideas and remind ourselves that small, consistent steps lead to big results. All right, we're now ready for English Lesson 1, where we break down the key terms from this discussion. All right, welcome to English Lesson 1. In this part, we'll focus on 5 key expressions from our previous discussion. Actually, learning how to use them in context will help you communicate more naturally.
Indeed, the first one is casual chat groups. This phrase refers to informal gatherings where people simply talk, often about everyday topics. It's a great way to build confidence without the pressure of formal meetings or presentations.
Absolutely. You could say, I joined a casual chat group at work to practice my English. That shows you participate in relaxed conversations. By the way, it's a good strategy for improving speaking fluency in a supportive environment.
Precisely. Next, we have consistency. Basically, it means doing something regularly over a period of time. For example, consistency is key if you want to see real progress in your English speaking. No doubt about it, this word emphasizes commitment and steady effort.
Exactly. Then there's best practice. This phrase refers to the most effective method or technique, often proven by experience. You're spot on if you say, our company follows best practices for client communication. This suggests a high standard.
That's right. The fourth expression is collaborate. It means to work together on a project or goal. So you might hear, we collaborate with our overseas team on product development. Indeed, using this verb signals teamwork and a willingness to share ideas.
Totally. Finally, let's look at structured plan. This phrase describes an organized approach with clear steps. For instance, having a structured plan helps me study English efficiently. Basically, it's the opposite of random or unorganized learning.
You nailed it. Each of these expressions can boost your professional communication. They highlight purposeful action, teamwork, and consistent practice. By the way, if you use them correctly, your speech will sound more confident and precise.
Indeed, it's important to remember these words in real situations. So try them out when you're talking to coworkers, clients, or even friends. Exactly. The more you practice, the easier it gets.
Absolutely. In the next part, we'll move on to more practical tips for learning English speaking easily. All right, let's wrap up this lesson here and get ready to see how these expressions fit into everyday business scenarios.
Exactly. Keep a vocabulary journal and note these phrases whenever you hear them in real conversations or media. Actually, that helps you absorb their usage naturally and recall them quickly.
Couldn't agree more. Let's make sure to keep practicing them, and soon they'll become second nature. Now let's move on to our practical tips section for more insights.
All right, welcome to the practical tips section. In this part, we'll explore ways to incorporate our main topic into daily life. People often struggle with finding time or opportunities, so let's look at realistic strategies.
Exactly. One key idea is to simulate real business tasks at home. For example, record a mock presentation, then watch it to see how you perform. When you practice in a low-pressure environment, you develop confidence for real situations.
Absolutely. Another approach is to involve technology. You can try AI-powered speaking apps or even voice assistants to practice short dialogues. By the way, reading business articles aloud also helps you refine pronunciation and learn industry-specific vocabulary.
Indeed, people are now using short video clips or social media reels to share quick updates in English. Actually, it's a growing trend. You see, posting a 30-second clip discussing a business topic can spark conversations and enhance your speaking skills.
No doubt about it. Another practical tip is to set a weekly speaking goal, like having at least 3 English chats with coworkers. Couldn't agree more, because this habit keeps your mind ready for spontaneous English moments in the workplace.
Precisely. Some folks also use accountability partners. You pair up with someone and check each other's progress. For instance, you might send a voice message in English every day, and your partner replies with feedback. That's exactly how I see it.
Exactly. Let's also think about using English during everyday tasks, like writing shopping lists or drafting quick notes in English.
You nailed it, because these small actions build familiarity with the language and reinforce your muscle memory.
Totally. There's also value in reading the latest business trends or case studies, then summarizing them out loud. By the way, if you subscribe to industry newsletters, you'll gather fresh material to discuss with peers or mentors.
Absolutely. Adapting to current trends like remote work or virtual meetings is another angle. Practicing English in online seminars or conferences helps you stay relevant. You build connections and learn jargon that's popular in global teams.
Indeed, another useful idea is to keep a reflection journal. After each English interaction, note what went well and what needs improvement. Actually, this process helps you become more aware of your strengths and areas to develop.
You're spot on. I know people who record short voice diaries in English at the end of each workday. Basically, they talk about tasks they handled, challenges they faced, and plans for tomorrow. No doubt about it, that daily habit upgrades their speaking skills.
Precisely, that ties in with building professional networks. You see, connecting with like-minded people who share your goals provides motivation. Actually, it also creates opportunities to practice real English conversations, especially when discussing projects or sharing feedback.
That's exactly how I see it. For instance, you might join a LinkedIn group in your field and participate in discussions in English. By the way, offering insights or asking questions is a low-stress way to build your speaking confidence.
Totally. So far, we've covered scheduling practice, leveraging technology, engaging in social media, and using reflection techniques. Exactly. These steps will help you apply our main topic, how to learn English speaking easily in everyday situations.
Indeed. It's also wise to keep track of current events in your industry. Actually, if you know the latest trends, you can discuss them in English with peers and clients. You nailed it. That knowledge adds real value to your speaking practice.
Absolutely. Sometimes people worry about making mistakes, but mistakes are part of the learning process. By the way, embracing errors and seeking corrections is how you grow. Each slip-up teaches you something new about the language.
Precisely. Finally, think of speaking as a skill that needs regular fine-tuning. No doubt about it. Steady practice, active listening, and constant exposure are essential. So keep experimenting with these tips to see what works best for you.
All right, that wraps up our practical tips. Let's move on to English Lesson 2, where we'll break down more helpful words from this section. Indeed, the more vocabulary you master, the easier it becomes to speak confidently.
Welcome to English Lesson 2. In this segment, we'll explore 5 key phrases from our practical tips discussion.
Learning these expressions will help you describe your study methods and progress more effectively.
Exactly. The first one is accountability partners. This term means people who keep each other on track with goals. For instance, having accountability partners really helps me stay motivated. It suggests a mutual commitment to regular check-ins and progress updates.
Absolutely. Next is reflection journal. It refers to a notebook or app where you record your daily thoughts or experiences. By the way, you could say, I keep a reflection journal to analyze my English speaking each day. That's exactly how I see it.
Precisely. The third phrase is voice diaries. Basically, these are audio recordings you make about your day or tasks. For example, I use voice diaries to practice describing my work projects. Indeed, that habit enhances fluency and confidence.
Exactly. Fourth, we have embracing errors. It means accepting mistakes as a natural part of learning. So you might say, I'm embracing errors to improve faster. No doubt about it. This expression shows a positive mindset toward challenges.
Absolutely. The final one is mock presentation. This refers to a practice speech or demonstration under simulated conditions. You could say, I gave a mock presentation to my team before the big event. Indeed, that preparation boosts your speaking skills.
Precisely. Each of these terms highlights active learning. By the way, if you integrate them into your routine, you'll probably see faster growth in speaking. You nailed it, because these strategies encourage practice, self-assessment, and continuous improvement.
Totally. Also, using these expressions in conversations shows you take your language development seriously. For instance, if you mention accountability partners or reflection journal, People realize you're adopting deliberate methods, actually, that can create new opportunities to learn together.
Couldn't agree more. It's good to keep these phrases handy in your vocabulary toolbox. So, when you talk about your study habits, you have the right words ready, no doubt about it. Precise language boosts clarity and professionalism.
Exactly. Let's close this lesson here. In our final part, we'll recap today's topic and share our concluding thoughts. By the way, keep practicing and keep an eye on how these terms enhance your business English.
Indeed. Feel free to replay these lessons whenever you need a refresher. Repetition is powerful for locking new words in your long-term memory. All right, let's move on to the closing section now.
All right, we've reached the final part of our Business English Podcast episode on how to learn English speaking easily. Let's do a quick summary of what we covered.
In the practical tips section, we talked about leveraging technology, building confidence through consistent practice, and seeking accountability partners. You see, those tips are proven ways to accelerate your learning and keep you motivated.
Exactly. Then, in our English lessons, we covered words and phrases like casual chat groups, best practice, voice diaries, and more. No doubt about it, mastering these terms will help you sound more professional and natural.
Absolutely. We hope this podcast gave you fresh insights and practical strategies. Speaking English easily takes time, but the rewards are significant. By the way, keep challenging yourself, and remember to share your experiences in the comments.
Precisely. Feel free to revisit any part of this episode if you need to. That's exactly how I see it. Steady exposure and practice lead to real progress. Indeed, it's all about consistent effort.
So we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. We really hope our tips and lessons serve you well. No doubt about it, speaking English confidently can open up exciting possibilities in your career and personal life.
All right, that's a wrap for our Business English Podcast today. Keep practicing, stay consistent, and embrace every chance to speak up. Exactly. The path to fluent English is within your reach.